In other global news, a potential draft at the COP28 summit in Dubai has left the activists, attendees and delegates fuming. Well, this is because the draft lacks any direct mention of a time-bound fossil fuel phase-out, leaving many to wonder if the final agreement will be a cop-out or not. Well, the new draft, the COP28 agreement published by the UAE presidency on Monday, it failed to refer to a phase-out of fossil fuels, triggering condemnation from many delegates. Instead of a codified phase-out, the agreement lists out 8 options for the countries to cut the emissions. And these include the global need for tripling renewable energy capacity, then doubling the annual global rate of energy efficiency improvements by 2030. A call to accelerate efforts globally towards net zero emission energy systems. And the increasing the use of low to zero emission technologies. Not only this, the list also includes reducing production and consumption of fossil fuels in just and orderly manner to achieve net zero by 2050. Reducing non-carbon dioxide emissions globally by 2030 and an expedited deployment low to zero emissions vehicles globally. While the talks are scheduled to finish on the 12th of December, Tuesday, the arbitration at the UN climate talks tends to result in frequent delays. Moreover, this contentious draft has set the stage for last-minute negotiations at the 2-week summit. The draft has laid out geopolitical divisions over the future of petroleum, natural gas and coal in setting climate goals. The draft also triggered a protest among the attendees, many of whom held hands and stood up in a line where the arbitrations are taking place.
We definitely trust you. Please give us a good text.
We want a stronger language on ending, phasing out fossil fuels. And we want a stronger language on the just transition for energy for the people who this will affect and is already affecting.
Later in the day, representatives from participating nations met up to discuss the condemnation that the watered-down draft is facing. Many delegates vocally criticized the draft for omitting a fossil fuel phase-out plan. Among them was the United States Special Climate Envoy John Kerry, who warned that COP28 may just be the world's last chance to counter global warming. Criticism also arose from the representatives of Germany, Italy, Spain, Greenland and the UK. Canada's Minister of Environment and Climate Change, Stephen Guilbeault, slammed the OPEC states for weighing down the push for a stronger deal as well. Take a listen.
What they have said publicly is that they couldn't accept anything. But if we, as the fourth largest oil and gas producer, can accept that we need to go further, they should too. And we shouldn't, countries shouldn't show up here and say, oh, we have this red line and that red line and this other red line. We should be willing to engage on constructive discussions, which many of us have done, and I would invite all parties to do that.
Well, this comment comes in the wake of the COP28 presidency row, where Sultan Al Jaber was also criticized for being appointed as the head of the summit, while serving as the Director General and CEO for the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. Earlier in the summit, Jaber was also slammed for alleging a lack of science behind a potential fossil fuel phase-out.